So the turbohydromatic 400 transmission in my 74 Vet has been leaking for as long as I've had it. And I finally tied a piece of a paper towel around the shift linkage and a couple other spots, and then watched what got wet first as it sat. And it turned out to be the piece of paper towel that was around the shift linkage. Now, I bought a tool on Amazon to remove it, and it comes with 4 pieces. Here's 2 of them right here. This is the removal tool. This is just a bolt that screws it in. Once that has been screwed in, these threads screw into the other part of that they give you, which is the seal. That's a little bit hard to see because of my black gloves, but basically it goes over the shift shaft and screws into the seal. Now, some people said that these are left-handed threads that screw into the seal, but this tool I got, if you look at the thread pitch of it compared to the thread pitch on the removal bolt, which is definitely a right-handed, they are the same. I don't know whether you can see that on the video or not, but they are the same. So this is right-handed. The other thing that a lot of people have complained about on the thing is that as they're screwing this into the seal, the first couple threads on there break off. So I don't know whether that's going to be the case with this or not. But another thing that they complain about is that the shift shaft does not, in fact, fit into this, and they have had to drill it out. Now, there are some out there that I saw that only say it's good for the TH350 and 400 and maybe some older transmissions, but the newer ones, I'm guessing, might be metric, and that might be the reason some people have this shaft not fitting over and have to drill it out. The other part of the kit that they give you is an installation tool, which is nothing more than a cylinder with a hole in it that you slip over the shaft and then tap on it with a hammer or whatever you can get in there to seat the seal once you've got the old one out. So we're going to try that today and see how it works for us. Okay, I'm trying to get a vantage point on that shaft. There is a 9/16 inch wrench that I already put on it that fits the nut that holds the shift linkage on. And I'm going to take off that nut and try and show you the difference in the length of the shaft on this one, which might make it a little bit harder to use this tool because it gives me less room to pond on it. But okay, that is loose, and full disclosure, I broke it loose before I turned on the video. But now I'm going to try to drop this shift linkage out of the way so that I can get the tool on there. Okay, I'm going to shut the camera off for a second while I do some fiddling to get that out of the way. Okay, I decided it's going to be easier if I take this piece of the linkage out right here. I've already loosened the nut. That stuff is just, I feel, going to be too much in the way. The other thing that I did while I was off camera is I went over to the TH350 and I took a look at the length of the shaft on that, and it's not a whole lot less than this. So I think the tool is the appropriate tool, but there's still an issue of how hard is it going to be get up in there, because like I said, there's not much room to work on this car. This is supposed to be a 15-minute job. And I imagine if you've done it before and, you know, you just do it all the time, maybe it probably is. Because you've undoubtedly already decided, hey, I have to take that linkage off, so let's just do it right up front. And you don't waste time trying to do anything that isn't going to work. And what I will do, because I already tried to put that piece on that shift shaft again, is I'll put that on before I put this linkage in, because it'll be easier to line up. Okay, time to shut off the video, take off the gloves, and get that out of the way. Okay, I took this shift linkage piece off, which comes off the cable. It's held on by a cotter pin on that stud, but I really wouldn't have had to do that if I wasn't trying to get the camera angle on it. So that's purely for camera angle. And now I'm trying to get set up here so I can see the light. There you go. It's a very steep angle on this camera, but here's the stud right here that I'll be trying to put the tool on, and I'll be trying to use a 5/8 inch ratcheting wrench on the end of it to screw it in, and applying pressure to the end of it with maybe a long screwdriver. But okay, so what everybody's saying about it not fitting over the shaft, that seems to be the situation I have here. So I'm going to try to just, see if I can get on the camera here. I'm going to try to ream the edge of the part that goes over the stud. Just get in here and ream that out. So I drilled out that removal tool with a 1/2 inch bit, and it still didn't go on it, so I decided to try to fit the installation tool, and that doesn't go on either. And then I discovered, by taking my fingernail, there are a couple little burrs on the shaft itself that might be preventing it from going on. So I'm going to take a file of those and see if I can knock those down a little bit and get these to fit. Okay, we're making progress. I did get the removal tool to go all the way on, but as of yet, the installation tool doesn't go all the way on. So I'm going to try to remove the seal first and then see if just the process of removing the seal cleans up that shaft maybe a little bit and allows this to go on. But before I can do that, there's another issue with the tool, and I'll point it out here. So the tool is supposed to go on the shaft like such and screw into the seal over here. And then you put this bolt in to the end of the tool, and it forces the tool to back off by pressing on the end of the shift shaft. The only problem is that thing will only thread that far, so I have to get a tap and clean up those threads so that it will go in further, because it won't even push on the shaft at this distance. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, I got that to thread in further. Turned out it didn't need tapped, it just needed a wrench put on it. But now it will wind all the way in. I am going to unscrew this till it is right at the base of this, pretty much, and see if I can put it on right at the base of this. See if I can put it on that way, because I'm afraid that if I put it in there, that extra distance won't allow me to get the bolt in to remove it. So kind of look down the barrel of this thing in the light. Yeah, that is about a quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch up from there, so it won't interfere with the shifter shaft while I'm putting it on. So we're going to try this. Yeah, that was a good call there. I'm going to actually have to, it's about an inch out. I'm going to have to wind it in to get the tool on, because it's running into the floor pan. Okay. And then I'll wind it out so that it can go on the shaft. Yeah, there's not much room here to work. Oh, and I should have put my wrench on there first. I was planning on using the ratcheting side on that so that I didn't have to take it off and put it back on. So I'm going to wind it back in, get the wrench on it, and work from there. Make sure it's on tight, in case if I get it on, I won't have to take it back off. Gloves are a good idea to keep yourself from getting your hands banged up and grease all into your fingernails, etc. But half the time you can't even work with them. Oh boy. Let's do it this way. Put the wrench on it first. Make sure it's on tight. And then I'll slip it over to the shaft. That bolt might be holding it from going on now. Yep. As I'm undoing the bolt, the tool is sliding down the shaft more. So now going into the seal is the question. I have to see if I can tell if it's going in any further. No. So now, because I can't get a hammer in there to pound on that, I'm going to try to put some pressure against it with just a screwdriver. Or something. I got to get some pressure on there somehow. Okay. Trying to watch the threads to see if I can tell if they're threading into the seal. I don't know if it is. Can't. It doesn't look like the threads are going in. Now I've got a different problem. If this is engaged in the seal and it isn't, the problem would have been I can't get this wrench off now, so I wouldn't be able, I'd have to work around it. And that's probably not impossible, but I'd have to get another wrench on here to hold it, because this one's ratcheting the wrong way, and I have to get a wrench on this one to tighten it in. But first, I've got to somehow get those threads to engage in the seal. So So what I did, and I don't know if you can see it on here, but I put that thing in, and that bolt is wedged up against the floor pan. So it was putting pressure on the tool, and I tightened it up until it got tight. Now I don't know whether it's engaged with the seal or not, but at this point I think it's time to turn the bolt in, see if it's engaged, and if it is, it should come out. If it's not, then the tool will just come off. So let's see, I want to tighten that bolt in. And as I was doing this, it occurred to me, this one, now some people said the tool they bought was left-hand threaded on that tip that engages with the seal, and that would have been a better idea, I guarantee you. Because I was having to hold and turn, and if the left hand thread was on there, it would have been wanting to stay tight by itself. Yeah, the tool's not engaged. I'm not having success with this darn thing. And I can't get a hammer in there to tap it in like they tell me. And the seal did not come out, so that's a failure. So since I have a TH350 here that has the same kind of seal, and it happens to be leaking as well, I'm going to try to see if I can get it to work on this one so that I can find out how the tool works. So it says tap it on, and they're tapped in pretty good. Either it's in there and engaged with the thing, I'm not going any further, or I don't think it is, to be honest. I am going to try to insert the bolt. Now, some people said that these worked well for them, other people said no. That is all the way on. Tighten it in. It's pulling the tool out, but I don't think it's pulling the seal out. pulled the tool out, but no seal. I shut the camera off. I'm going to try that again, doing the same thing. Maybe just hitting it a little harder. And report back to see if I had any success. Okay, I hit it harder and then I turned it and it appeared to thread in. So I think it's engaged with the seal. So the problem is, if this works, I don't know how I'm going to hit it that hard on the one that's in the car, because I don't have any room to work. And apparently this, we'll see, but apparently it has to go through the center rubber part of that seal, and that takes a bit of effort. There, you can see the tool pulling out. Question is the seal coming with it? And the seal came with it. So, the solution is to figure out a way to, there's the seal. Right there's the seal. Let's zoom out just a little bit so the camera can focus. There's the seal on the tool. So obviously I've got to get more pressure on that tool to punch through the rubber part of that seal and tighten it up. It came out pretty easy once I gave it enough oomph with the hammer, but like I said, there's no room for that hammer to do that on that while it's on the car. I figured just for giggles I would see about the installation tool now that I've got the seal out of this one, and it goes in and it's probably about 1/8 of an inch below the surface. So once you get the seal off, I think the new one will go on pretty good. But again, they're telling you to hit this with a hammer, and there's no room. So that's a challenge to be overcome on the car. It's getting late and I'm going to wrap this up for today. After looking at it and trying, I could not pound that thing in. Then I looked at it and I'm beginning to wonder if the seal for the transmission that I have is actually a slightly smaller size, because I could not get that tool in there. I tried everything, and you know, with what I tried, I thought I should have been able to get it in. And then I slipped the old one I took out of the TH350, which looked exactly like the one that I had in the new kit, and I slipped that over the shaft of the TH400 that's in the car, the 74 Vet, and it looks like it's too big slightly to fit inside that housing that it slips into. You can see it is behind the lever there because I put the lever back on, but the hole in that housing doesn't appear to be big enough to take the one I got out of the 350, which, as I said, matches the one that came in the kit. So I do know that that's a different transmission. It's not out of a Corvette, it's out of a Pontiac, Oldsmobile, or Buick. So I'm going to try and see if I can find a different size of shaft seal for one of those transmissions. I looked it up once before, and with the aftermarket parts being what they are, you know, somebody might have, some manufacturer might have just listed the size of that seal as the same size as what was in that kit, without looking up, you know, the actual difference, if there is one. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and if that's the case, then the tool I have maybe won't work to take it out, but I have heard people say just pop the new seal in over the old seal, because all it's got to stop is the leakage that's coming out, and that's not very much, and there is room to do it. So some research is in my future, and we'll see what we can come up with.